All right, welcome to the Time Intelligence Assignment Solution Walkthrough. Just to quickly recap what we were trying to accomplish here is Diane had reached out for some different time intelligence measures, and here's a representative sample of what they're going to end up looking like, right? We've got one for kind of our previous month orders, we've got our 90-day rolling profit, and then our target order calculation. All right, so let's jump over to Power BI and we'll quickly run through these. All right, so first up, we need to create a measure for previous month returns. All right, so we're going to come over, new measure, and we're going to call this previous month returns. In here, we're going to start off with our calculate, and we want to evaluate total returns. And here, date add. Our date column is our calendar lookup date table. Our date column, excuse me. And then from here, it's going to be -1 for the interval, and our period or the interval is day, right? We can return down. Oh, excuse me. We are looking at month, not day. It's great that these are easy to switch out. All right, so we'll lock that in. And again, this is a whole number. We'll add in our comma here. And we're actually going to do a little bit of a shortcut here to calculate our other order and profit measures for the previous month. So what we can do is highlight this. So we'll copy all of our DAX, Control C to copy. We'll click New Measure, Control V to paste. And now instead of returns, our second measure that we need to create was orders, right? So previous month orders. And now all we have to do here is switch out our measure reference for total orders, and everything else remains the same. So previous month orders, we're calculating total orders in a modified filter context where we're shifting our dates back 1 month. All right, so we'll lock that in. We've got previous month orders. And then we'll copy this one more time, create a new measure. We'll paste that. And now instead of orders here, for our third measure that we needed to create, this is going to be profit. And again, we're going to add total profit here for our measure. Same logic applies. All right, we'll lock this in. And again, currency, this is formatted. We'll add this in as a 0 for our decimal point. So let's quickly create a matrix here. And I want to add in start of month to the rows. And then I'm going to add in those new measures, right? So if we go down, we've got previous month returns, previous month orders, and then previous month profit right here. Right, so we've got all three of these values added in here: returns, orders, and profit, all for the previous month. And you'll notice that we don't start with January because there's no value here that's being evaluated for January. So those are our first 3 key objectives. Our fourth and fifth measures that we need to create are based on new order and profit targets. So let's actually create a new measure. And we'll call this order target. And this is going to equal previous month orders times 1.1. Again, kind of general formatting here. I'm going to add in the comma here. We basically want this as a whole number, not a decimal. Right, and then same idea here. You could copy and paste this for profit target. Honestly, it's probably just as quick to create a new measure because again, there aren't many fields that you need to add in here. Right, so this is going to be profit target. And this is going to equal previous month profit times 1.1. Currency default to auto. We'll update that to 0. All right, so we can add these into the matrix as well. So order target and profit target. Let me collapse this down a little bit. We've got target orders. We can rearrange these a little bit. Order target. And then profit, just so they're grouped. All right, so those are our first 5 key objectives. Our last one is to create a 90-day rolling profit measure. And what we're going to do here is I'm actually going to remove this matrix and we're going to use this one, right? Because it's already at date and we've already got this 10-day rolling revenue option. So what we can do here is, again, you could come in and you could take this measure and copy it and then just update the fields, update to total profit, and then do this to minus 90 day. Again, just to practice here, we'll work through the calculation ourselves. So again, we're going to create a new measure. And this is going to be called 90-day rolling profit. And again, we'll start off with calculate. And we want to evaluate our total profit measure. And we're going to do that in a modified filter context where we're using dates and period. And this is going to be the dates from our calendar lookup date column. And our start date is going to be the max from that same date column. Close out our parentheses, comma, then return down our number of intervals. We want to shift this back 90 days. So day is our interval, and close out our parentheses. All right, so we can lock this in. And again, currency auto, let's update this to 0 decimals. And we'll update our matrix here, and let's replace our 10-day rolling revenue value with our 90-day value. Right, so there we go. We've got our 90-day rolling profit here. One thing to quickly call out, if you see a blank row like this in the date column, don't worry about this. Right, so basically Power BI has this built-in function. It's called values, and it uses it for a bunch of different purposes. But in the case where you're trying to evaluate a measure and there isn't a value in the date column that would map to it, basically Power BI uses this values function in the case where there could be like an error and it returns a blank, right? So this is by design that there's this blank row here at the top of the matrix. You could go in and filter this out. You could select the date and then select all, remove the blank so it doesn't show up. And again, that's totally fine. You could leave it either way. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't be concerned when you see that. More often than not, when it's at the top of the matrix or top of a table visual like that, it's because of that values functionality and Power BI just accounting for a potential error. I'm going to just reset that to default here. All right, we'll clear that filter. So one last thing here, just to quickly show, I'm going to add in a slicer. And again, you're going to get into this in much more detail in the next section, but I want to add in a slicer based on our date. Right, and we're going to filter this for the first 90 days. So January 1st, 2020 to March 30th, 2020. And what I want to show you here is that these totals match, right? It's tough to see that rolling 90-day pattern, with a table like this. But basically, as you continue to scroll down, we've got all of our 90-day rolling profit. It continues to add up and add up and add up day by day by day. And you can see here in the total values when these are equal, right? So that's March 30th, 2020. That's our first 90-day rolling period. After that, it's going to reset. So now our totals are different because we're looking at a different time period, right? You'd have to update this date slicer to impact this visual to then see the next 90-day period when they overlap. All right, so with that, that's going to wrap up this assignment solution walkthrough on time intelligence functions.